Hello. I don't know if you can hear it, but the rain is reasonably heavy at the moment and it simply will not stop. So I am inside with my terrible lighting situation. I apologise for that. I should invest in some actual lights, but I think we both know that's not going to happen because I spend most of my spare cash on yarn. Speaking of yarn, last week this was on the loom. It is off the loom. It is not finished. I haven't twisted the fringe yet. I will twist that fringe. But here it is. It's kind of hard to show you stuff too because if I lean too far back I will just bang my head on the wall. But this is how this has come out. The blue didn't shift colours quite as dramatically as it looked like it might when I saw it in the ball. I mean, it's fine. It's interesting. It's still visually interesting and there are colour shifts. There's some green and purple in there. But it is mostly the blue, which is fine. It's okay. It is what it is. Now, when I wet finish this, which I will do after I've twisted the fringe, I'll be curious to know what actually happens with it because these are two different yarn fibres. Yarn fibres? Yarn content is what I meant to say. I know what I'm talking about. This is pure wool and this is a wool and acrylic mix. So they will probably have different shrinkages and I don't know if it's going to be a big difference or a little difference, but it is going to be a difference that may or may not make a difference. So I'll show you next week, by which time I should have twisted the fringe and also wet finished. Last week I also had this orange one that I hadn't wet finished. I'm just getting that out now. I have wet finished it now. It doesn't look that different. I mean, it looks pretty much the same as it did last week, but it is much softer. It is much drapier. My only problem now is that the knots will not stay tight. So I am probably going to get a little needle felting needle through them just to keep them, because that will, a needle felting needle. Let me finish a sentence just once. It's a terrible habit. I must try and break it. What was I talking about? Needle felting needles. They have like burrs on them, so they've got little sort of rough sharp bits that will grab the fibres and make them cling together. I've described that beautifully, which will hopefully keep the knots a little bit tighter. I'm a bit worried that the fringe is going to unravel, but I mean this is incredibly soft. So that has visually not much different, a little bit wrinkled, does need a press. Just about everything I own needs a press. But it has come out beautifully soft. I just need to solve the problem with the knot. So that's not really a problem if it unravels. So on the loom, now this came off yesterday, so I've only just started what's on the loom, but I will show that to you now, and I will even move the camera to do it. This is an experiment, so I don't know how it's going to work out. As you can see, I've got some gaps, I've got some skipped dents, I've got quite a lot of gaps over here, quite a few gaps over here would be a better way of saying that. I've also got the same background, because I'm all about continuity for this one particular video. And I've got this scrap yarn at the sides, which is holding these loops to make a side fringe. Now this yarn is Heirloom Baby Merino 4-ply in grey. I don't know that there's a colour. Oh yes, there is. Colour 6420. There you go. I would have just called it grey, but I'm old-fashioned like that. Anyway, what I'm going to do, I've confirmed that this yarn will felt. I'm going to finish weaving it, and then I'm going to give it a hot wash with a lot of soap and a lot of agitation, and hopefully something interesting will happen. I'm hoping something interesting will happen. That's as far as I'm willing to go with that statement. I'll show you how it turns out, possibly next week. Now, I actually have two projects on the loom at the same time at the moment. I was reading an article on the internet that gave this great technique for having two projects on the go at the same time, and the technique is called buying a second loom. This is my Ashford Sample It, and I am just in love. It is so small and adorable. It's 25 centimetre weaving width, 10 inches, which is smaller than my other one. My other one is 60 centimetres, so this is definitely the baby of the pair. I've assembled it really well. I've assembled it way better than I assembled my big loom. My big loom works, but sometimes I have to hit things with a wooden hammer. This one I haven't had to hit with a wooden hammer yet, so I'm definitely improving on the assembly stakes. So the purpose of a sample it, as the name suggests, is to sample before you weave. So you can check your yarns work together, you can check the colours work, try out your pick-up stick pattern, whatever. Wet finish it, find out what happens when the wet finishing happens, and then you can go into your main project knowing that everything's going to work. I don't sample. I am too impatient. I just want to warp up and weave. I should sample. It is good practice to sample. You're supposed to do it. I'm trying to think of a time when I did, and I can't think of a time when I did. I've never sampled. I tend to jump in with both feet and then either be excited about the end result or regret my decisions. It's how I like to roll. So I didn't buy this to sample. I bought this for scarves because it is also the perfect width for scarves. And I've been weaving a lot of scarves lately, but I was looking at my 60 centimetre loom thinking, I've got 40 centimetres here that I am not using. So, you know, also I wanted it. Also I wanted it, so I bought it. Look how portable this is. Oops, I've just knocked that out of neutral. Look how portable this is. I can take this to the park and weave if I want to. Not today, it's absolutely pelting down now, but you know, it's spring, we might get some weather. So I can take this anywhere and weave on it pretty much. I might make a bag for it. I'm very excited about it. It's so cute. Anyway, let's talk about the project that's on it. Let's pretend I didn't just hit myself in the ear with a loom. So this yarn is Peyton's Sorrento, which is a mix of cotton and viscose, which has given this, I don't know if it's picking up, this lighting, it's not great. So it's a little bit shiny and also a little bit fluffy. There's some sort of slub texture in there and some thread wrapped texture. I don't know if you can see that. Just in front of my thumb there's a little lump. Yep, I knew you could see it. So it's really nice to weave with actually. And I bought this. It's a discontinued yarn that I've actually purchased rather than a discontinued yarn from my aunt's stash. Just for a change, just to keep things fresh. It was a de-stash stall at the market I did a few weeks ago, raising money for the CFA, Country Fire Authority. So I couldn't not buy some yarn. Do you see what I mean? It was for charity, basically. And this looked really cool. And I looked at this, it was in a bag, all up together, the pink and the grey, and I thought that reminds me of galas, so I'm making the galah scarf. I actually name everything that I make. I don't say it out loud, I just name it so that I've got a reference in my head when I'm thinking about whatever I'm thinking about. I think the wheels fell off that sentence pretty early, but I'm just going to keep on keeping on because I've done a lot of takes so far and I would at some point like to sleep. Anyway, so this is a mirrored pattern of the pink and grey with 15 rows, 15 picks, 15 throws of the pink and grey as stripes up. And it's on this great little loom that I can take anywhere. I'm so excited about it. So I'm going to put the loom down now. I'm going to put the loom over here because before I go, I want to show you my temperature snake, which is up to date to September. So that's September. Some of that is September. I don't know if all of that's September. I could count, but I haven't got that kind of time. So, as you can see, warming up there at the end of September, and now I think it's 11 degrees and pelting rain. Melbourne. Now, at the moment, this snake, if I show you that the head is there in that hand, and then I pull it tight, and then the head is there in that hand, it's very nearly longer than I am tall. So, that's exciting. For me, I don't expect you to, I don't expect you to care about that. That's the problem when I get my snake. I have to flap it around. So that is, you know, how the snake is looking. So there's the summer. Oh, the stuffing's very loose at this end because I actually store it rolled up so that it fits in the project bag. So I'm hoping to get the rest of the stuffing loose by doing much the same. I should actually wrap it from the other end, but I didn't think of that. But there is snake as the snake stands. Although snakes don't actually stand. Let's not get philosophical about snakes. Let's say thank you very much for watching. I think some of it made sense. I do get a bit excitable about my little loom, which is going to get a bespoke carry bag made for it, and then I'm going to take it to my favourite cafe and weave and probably spill coffee on it because I spill a lot of coffee. Anyway, speaking of coffee, I think I could use one. You have a lovely rest of your week. I will see you next time. Take care of yourself and bye for now.